During the November 17th City Council meeting, the biggest issue was a requested utility easement by Consumers Energy for a new high-pressure natural gas pipeline through Fenner Nature Center and Evergreen Cemetery. Despite some public pushback, Council approved the request. Concerns about the city stalling on court-ordered services to an encampment were raised again, and the Council wrote a letter about supporting food rescue efforts. Welcome to What Lansing Council, a podcast transforming Monday night's Lansing City Council meetings into an enthralling recap. I'm your host, Jill Dombrowski, and today my special guest is Tom Arthur. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Jill. I'm ready for an enthralling recap of last night's City Council meeting.
You're part of it, and you were at the meeting.
I was at the meeting. I figured I ought to show up. It was a good excuse if you invited me to this. I've been to some, but, you know, I've got little kids, and I'm a busy person, and if I didn't have those things, I definitely am interested in this stuff. So thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And to further your introduction, Tom is the lead pastor of Sycamore Creek Church, founder of Stage 1 at Sycamore Creek Eastwood, co-founder of Startup Grind Lansing, and co-founder of the long-running Northern Michigan C.S. Lewis Festival in Petoskey. He is also a startup coach with Wisdom Partners out of Silicon Valley and a creative partner for churches and nonprofits. But he has always secretly wanted to be either a garden hermit or an owner of a wildly creative fusion restaurant connected to an urban farm that raises goats and sheep. He has been married to his wife, Sarah, for 28 years and is the father of two boys, Sam and Micah, who attend Post Oak Elementary and Eastern High School.
Go Quakers, go Penguins.
Yes. Thanks so much for being on the podcast. And you had a question that you thought would be a good opener about talking about Lansing. And I'll say it. It is, if Lansing were your child and you were dropping them off for their first day of school, how would you describe Lansing to their teacher?
Yeah, so this came, I was at a church leadership conference one time, and sometimes when pastors get together, they complain about their churches with each other. And so
really?
The consultant was trying, the facilitator was trying to get us out of that, and use this very creative way to introduce our church rather than that. So I actually think this was when I was first appointed, because I'm appointed as the bishop appoints me in the United Methodist Church. So it's kind of like the general and the lieutenants. So we go where we're told. Been here 16 years. But when I was first appointed to Sycamore Creek was when I went to that conference, and I said that Sycamore Creek had a self-esteem problem, but had a lot of amazing talents, and in the right space would really bloom. And I feel like after living in Lansing for 16 years, I think that Sycamore Creek and Lansing had a kind of parallel, sense. So I'd tell the teacher, hey, Lansing is an amazing kid, and they have a little bit of a self-esteem problem. There's been some glory days, and sometimes they get stuck thinking about that. But wow, there's so much talent, so much creativity here, so many hidden gems, and with the right teacher, with the right mentor, with the right leadership, this place can be banging. Yeah. That's what I tell the teacher.
That's great. What's something else that you particularly like about Lansing?
We just moved into the city of Lansing 3 or 4 years ago when our church launched a new campus. So I live in Groesbeck neighborhood, right across from Post Oak Academy.
Nice. Sorry, I did say elementary. My bad.
Well, the elementary is fine. It's a K through 8.
Right.
And I had fabulous, the first 2 years of our kids just walking across the street to school.
That's the dream.
Yeah. When they get sick, the office calls us, the nurse, and we're like, yeah, just send them home. And they just walk across the street. There's no but before that, for 13 years, we lived in Holt.
Okay.
And I live in a parsonage. The church owns the house. Sycamore Creek was a church start out of Holt United Methodist, so there's a lot of Holt people there. They bought a house that I lived in, my wife and family and I lived in Holt, on the edge of nowhere. And I'm assuming Holt people aren't listening to this podcast.
Probably not.
Sorry. After
Don't
living
worry,
in
Holt's not your
Lansing
child
for
anymore.
16, yeah, Holt is not my child anymore. I'm going to say like Holt is the last place in the Lansing area that I would ever choose to live in. I mean, no, there's some good stuff in Holt, like, and the people are good, and especially when I got kids and kind of integrated there. But it was really like, it's 15 minutes to the highway, and then it was like 30 minutes to get into downtown Lansing. I'm a city kid. I want to live like where all the action's at.
Yeah.
Lansing has such a potential, and is living that out in many ways to affect the entire region. And that's where the center of the action is. That's where I want to be. And now where we live at, we're like 10 minutes to downtown and 10 minutes over to MSU. And I mean, we bike to Old Town all the time, and bike right onto the river trail. And I mean, that's just, I don't know. To me, that gives me energy. Yeah. That's what I love.
Yeah. Great. Anything else you'd like to talk about? What you would like to change in Lansing?
Yeah, this is more, it's like, what would I like to change about human nature?
Sure.
I always wish that people would ask a couple questions before they filled in a narrative about what's happening. And particularly a narrative about what the intentions are of those who are in leadership. Now, I'm not saying that like leaders get it right all the time.
Sure. But there is intent behind their decisions.
There's intent, and I, being a pastor, I'm a cheerleader by nature. I am not someone who immediately jumps to somebody has a ill will or malicious intent. I give people the benefit of the doubt for a long, long time. Mostly because that's what I would like people to do with me. And a lot of times, I mean, I was just sitting in a meeting the other day with a key leader in Lansing, and there was a situation that had hurt me personally. And I was there to talk about it, and what I found out was that there were some things I didn't know. And I knew that there were things I didn't know before I went into the meeting, so like I was there to partly, I mean, some of that's like just reconciliation between relationships. It's sort of restorative justice practices rather than punitive practices coming in all guns blazing, which is a bad metaphor for me because I'm a pacifist. But the
all torches blazing,
all torches,
all pitchforks raised,
yeah, whatever, all spotlights shining in the dark spaces. But just to come in and say, there's probably things I don't know yet, and if I was in their shoes and knew what they knew, I might have a sense that there's more complexity to this decision than what seems to me on the surface to be a simple decision. I heard on a podcast one time that moral certainty is the luxury of people whose hands are not dirty. If you think you know what the solution to homelessness is, and it's like one thing, then you probably don't know many homeless people, and you probably don't know much about economics. Like, you have to really be on the ground. Yeah. And the reality is that nobody knows enough, and we all need each other and each other's perspectives. Yeah. So let's come together. So this is what you say, like, what would I change about Lansing? Is what I change about human nature is that people would just pump the brakes a little bit before you fill in the narrative or connect the dots. Like, there's probably some dots that you don't have yet.
Sure.
So ask some questions first, get some more dots on your graph. And because that person has a perspective you don't have, and you need it, and I need your perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very apt for what we see at a lot of meetings, and what we saw tonight is people trying. I think it's tough because at City Council, people are both trying to share their perspective.
Yeah.
And there's not really that back and forth forum to the meeting.
Man, how to make all that fair and a real process of community conversation discernment where everybody's perspective is part of the dots.
Yeah.
that we need to draw a picture together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tricky. But we're working within the system that we have now.
Yes, we are.
Here it is. We're
All
going to
right.
talk about it.
we systemed last night.
Yes. This is for the November 17th meetings, and the council members present are Ryan Cost, the president from the 1st Ward. Jeremy Garza of the 2nd Ward was absent. Adam Hussein is from the 3rd Ward. Brian T. Jackson represents the 4th Ward. And our current at-large members are Jeffrey Brown, Tamara Carter, our vice president, Trini Pelivanoglu, and Peter Spatafor. So we had 7 out of 8 at these meetings. I'm going to do something differently here in this podcast. I'm going to say the public we're going to review the public comments that were at the end of the meeting first.
Okay.
So here are the public comments on city-related matters that weren't on the agenda for this meeting specifically. So somebody gets up there and requests a modification to the Capital Area Transportation Authority CATA Route number 6 to expand it and connect it to more routes. Currently, it just goes around Jolly, Cedar, and Penn, mostly to the Ingham County Health Department, and it's not really connecting communities.
Yeah.
Then a concerned Board of Water and Light customer says, hey, at the Board of Water and Light's next board meeting, which will be tonight, Tuesday, they will be voting on a resolution put forth by management to give the authority to make decisions about data centers to the general manager only. That will take the decision-making power away from the board. Data centers risks, this person says, data center risks should be evaluated by the board, not just one fallible person. The board members are the voice of the taxpayers. We should have resolutions focusing on protecting customers from cost increases that may come from data centers, not on resolutions for consolidating power. The Board of Water and Light has become a black box, much like data centers themselves.
Are you transcribing these while they're all saying it, or are you recording them? I mean, this is an amazing amount of work you're doing to make all of this accessible to people.
Yeah, thank you. What I do is I am in the meeting, I listen to them, and I type my notes.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, like last night or this morning, I'll read through them and I'll like rewrite them.
Yeah. So speaking of data centers, I had my AI listening to the whole thing, so that it was just transcribing it.
Uh-huh.
I know there's challenges there, but we could get into that later.
Okay.
Data centers coming down to Lansing.
Right. And that is something that President Koss mentioned. He will be having the developers for the proposed data center coming to a meeting next month. So all people interested in that should go to the community meeting at Geyer on December 6th. Next, the person says, I don't want the modular pods going in Stabenow Park. And the mod pods are 50 like sort of transient housing units that the city bought. The city has bought from Kalamazoo. They were at a discount, and this came up at previous meetings when members of the public were pushing for the city to do more about homelessness now. And they were like, okay, well, we bought these pods. So we have these pods, and we haven't decided where they're going yet. And Stabenow Park has been kind of circulated as a good city park, if we're looking at city parks, as a potential site because there's already bathrooms and some services there already. But this person says, and this was one of my favorite quotes from the meeting. This person says, the city has their hands full overlooking this park already. She doesn't think it's fair to have the mod pods placed in a public park. They should go in some of our numerous abandoned buildings. Also, she thinks that panhandling should be illegal. You don't see panhandling in Grand Ledge or Okemos, and it's a bad look for our city.
That was interesting. I was curious about that whole interchange. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think something that I would push back on for that last part is a lot of what it sounds like is the city of Lansing has more services for unhoused people than Grand Ledge or Okemos. So people who may be from those areas come to Lansing.
Yeah.
Because it's a better spot.
So when I lived in Durham, we lived in one of the poorest neighborhood with the most crime in it. And I just got to know lots of people on the street and panhandling during that time. And there was one guy that I stopped, and I have a lot of money because I'm like a grad student. And I was like, well, I can bring you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So I went home, got the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, came back, sat with him, had lunch with him. Police car pulled up, asked to see our panhandling licenses.
Oh, my gosh.
it was an interesting moment. Like,
a good intersection, I guess.
Yeah. And I was like, my first reaction was to like say, I'm not to distance myself, like, and pull out all of my like Queen's English and show like I'm a graduate student, like studying to be a pastor, like, and but thankfully I just shut up. And I was just going to follow this guy's lead who I'd gotten to know. But that was like the first time I was really ready to get in the back of a police car and get arrested for panhandling without a license.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I was like, you have to have a license to beg? That's ridiculous.
How did the interaction end up?
He didn't want to have anything to do with the police. And he said, okay, I'll move on. And I just followed his lead.
Okay.
Like, so, yeah, I wasn't going to, again... I didn't want to put him at risk in a situation where he didn't have the resources to survive.
Yeah.
Am I not supposed to be adding commentary?
No, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
am I the color commentator on the comments?
Something that I'm not good at is like wrapping that up and then like smoothly transitioning into the next thing. So that's like I'm thinking about how I can do that, and I'm also trying to find my place on the page.
So the next thing on our agenda, item 1AB subpoint C, comment is.
Yes, it is. Somebody asked, this was interesting that I hadn't seen before. A commenter asked to yield their time to a friend who didn't get to the meeting in time to sign up to give a comment. And Clerk Swope said, sorry, that's against the rules.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that drives me bonkers about like I get it on some level, because if you just have like a bunch of like, it's one of those things like if everybody did this, then it'd be like a serious problem.
Sure.
And so we can't let one person do it because if everybody did it, and so then we have to make a policy or a law or something.
They are so afraid of setting a precedent. That's like council's number one fear is setting a precedent. Yeah.
That's one of the things that I don't know. I'm not in their shoes. So I'm not saying like that was a bad thing, but it's like one of those things that on the surface, like very reasonable. Like,
sure,
she wants to give her time to somebody, do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear that all the time. Like, I exceed my time to my colleague from Alabama.
Right. But that's not in the rules. And I have asked that to Swope. Like, if you want to, if there's somebody in the audience who's spoken already and you liked what they were saying and you want to give them more time, can you be like, and he's like, no, that's not allowed through our charter or whatever.
I'm not a Lansing City Charter expert.
Rule keeper, yeah.
I did read it when this whole thing was happening, and it was fascinating and boring all at the same time. But
that perfectly summarizes these meetings.
yeah, exactly. So, all right, next item on our agenda.
So this person wanted to yield their time.
Oh, yeah.
No. So she gave her comment, which was, we are in a housing crisis. 400 plus people are sleeping outside in Lansing every night, just trying to stay warm. The Parks and Rec Department is clearing areas where people are trying to be. They just need a place to be. The city attorney is lying at court hearings about bringing services that the judge has ordered to be brought to this encampment. So a little bit of background here. This is my summary. The city does not like this encampment that has been going on for years just north of Dietrich Park on private property, and so they are suing the landowners to try to get this encampment cleared. And this has been going on for a while now, and a judge has ruled that the city needs to provide some services to this encampment and also find a new place for these folks to go.
Yeah, that was a huge win from the rent is too damn high.
Yeah.
I was quite shocked when I read about the ruling that the judge ruled that. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, these are really interesting parts of these meetings to me because I have a love-hate relationship with kind of the way that this kind of moment plays out. I love it because being a person of faith, it's very prophetic. It's like the prophet standing up and reminding people about the people that
are here.
Are either just, again, you don't have to assume malicious intent, that they're just not seeing, or that other things are pulling their attention somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm really sympathetic to all of those issues, and I try to work in them as much as I can. But I also know in my heart that I would also rather not look that way too. So, like, she is speaking to me. She's being a prophet to me, and like I'm listening to it, and I'm not just hearing it pointed at the dais. I am hearing her speak to me as a pastor in the community, and that to me is kind of a sacred, divine moment. It's also a big deal to call the lawyer, say the lawyer's lying. So I don't like. That's sometimes where I feel like that maybe there's some dots that the lawyer has. I think the lawyer has some talents. I don't know the lawyer personally. I haven't been like front and center on this. And I know there's often like this feeling that there's not access to the lawyer, or who does the lawyer work for? The council or the mayor. And that's been a big debate.
Yes.
I go into disagreements assuming that the lawyer has. I go into disagreements as a whole, assuming that the person I'm disagreeing with has something that I need, and it's my job to be curious enough to find out what that thing is that I don't have that they have that I need.
Yeah.
But that does require like access and conversation, and
yes,
I don't know how to make a different setting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to draw some picture that I may not know how to get there. So that's why I say, like, in those moments, I'm like, it's a divine, sacred moment for me. And I'm so glad that I'm so glad the rent is too damn high, is at these meetings, like reminding everybody of people that it's easy to forget about.
Yeah. They're staying on it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then a new person came up and said, during the 2018 blackout, I had no power for 5 days, but I did have a house, tons of blankets, and I have lasting psychological damage from being cold for those 5 days. I am disgusted by the unconscionable cruelty that Lansing has shown to people in need. Water and trash services were court-ordered. Get them to these people. You all spend a night out there and see how it feels. Do better.
I mean, anytime I haven't had the power go out in my house, but every time it does, it's like I got down sleeping bags from backpacking, and I got like a gas fireplace so we can all huddle in one room. Like, and it's just reminding us, like, these are human beings with bodies, and don't ignore them.
That's right. And President Cost, in a rare statement after the end of public comments, so usually the council members, they don't have to say anything to these comments. They can just meeting adjourned. But he did say that the trash was picked up today, so that being yesterday on Monday, and he's personally working on getting the hand washing stations back up and running at the encampment. So I think that those comments hit a chord with him.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and there's like, again, he has a little bit of inside information that everybody doesn't yet have, and he was sharing, like, here's my dot on the plot. Like,
sure.
I appreciated hearing that from him.
Yeah. Now we're going to get back to the beginning of the whole business, and that's the Committee of the Whole. So at the Committee of the Whole meeting, besides the council members that I mentioned, we have Greg Venker, who is the head city attorney, Sherry Boak, the recording secretary, and Mark Lawrence, the mayor's chief of staff, on behalf of the mayor. So to start out this meeting, there was a general fund status report for Q1 of the 2025-2026 financial year.
Okay.
And this was by Chief Strategy Officer Jake Brower. And Jake is often giving a bunch of reports, especially around budget season, about how all the departments are doing. So he says that the general fund has a budget of $173.9 million for the year, and they have spent $43 million, about 25% in Q1. There is some uncertainty in state and federal funding for future budgets, and this is most notably a state change in the way that gasoline tax funds are allocated. From now on, gasoline tax funds have to go to road fixing only, not into a constitutional revenue sharing pool where the municipalities could use that money as they pleased. So we're earmarking the gas tax.
Fix the damn roads.
For fixing the damn roads, exactly.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Councilmembers Spatafor and Brown have some follow-up questions on specific line items that seem smaller than expected, and Brower explains these away with processes and timing issues that don't line up exactly with the quarterly breakdown.
I'll tell you what, I'm a pastor of 3 campuses. The spreadsheets. The spreadsheets.
Are there a lot?
Oh my, the spreadsheets. And this is one of those things where if you've never presided over an institution that has a complex financial, you are so dependent on your accountants doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And it's a foreign language.
Mm-hmm.
And after 16 years of being at one church, I can kind of understand some of those things like you just said, like how something doesn't line up, and you ask that question every year, and like after 16 years I'm like, oh yeah, I get it, that's that thing again.
I've heard that before.
And but maybe a challenge of those city council members, especially the new ones, as they're coming on and looking at those balance sheets and all of that, it's a foreign language. So unless you have an accounting background, but even still, it's going to take time for you to dig through all those numbers and understand what's really going on. So it's challenging to know how to push back or when to say, okay, I trust that you know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Next was an update on the city employment vacancies factor, the city employment vacancy numbers by Elizabeth O'Leary and Kyla Moore from the Human Resources Department.
I think I came in on the tail end of this conversation.
Okay, great. So we have 103.5 vacancies out of 965 full-time positions in the city for a 10.7% vacancy. O'Leary says that her department has been working on creative hiring solutions, going to job fairs and making community connections. They are very proud to have hired all the summer employees they were looking for, over 72 positions in the Parks Department. However, there are still 25 vacancies in police, but 10 graduates will join the force in December from the police academy. And there have been 20 retirements and 50 people leaving for other reasons this past year. I don't think that was like a Q1 update. I think that was a yearly update.
Okay.
So Councilmember Brown is like, why are those 50 people leaving without retirement? You do exit interviews. Like, what are the trends you're seeing?
Yeah.
And O'Leary is like, we don't require exit interviews. And some of those are like people being fired. And we take a moment to address any issues that come up with the departments. And Brown is like, well, what? Like, what issues? Mm-hmm. And she will not say any trends. Mm-hmm. So no data points given out there.
Yeah. Wow. So it again, being somebody who's hired and fired people, there's laws, and then there's like appropriateness, or like you don't want to throw somebody under the bus. And I don't know always how to manage that myself when somebody wants to know why somebody like isn't working there anymore.
Sure.
But presumably if you got 50 people, you could talk about some trends so that it's not about a specific person. Mm-hmm. It feels like there's enough people there that you could give some trends. Mm-hmm. I missed this part, so it seems like that's something that could happen.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate, like, not sharing of information, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then Councilmember Jackson says, okay, 10 graduates from the police academy is great, but that still leaves 15 vacancies in police. We on council and the mayor keep funding more and more police positions, and we have these vacancies. Let's focus first on what we can do to fill the existing vacancies before just saying that we have created new positions without actually getting people in.
Yeah, this is where I came in. It reminded me of like the conference at the end of the year. I have to say like how many people died at my church, or how many people transferred membership, and then how many members you have. So sometimes like you just are still at zero, like as far as like the overall, like how many people call that their church. And I kind of heard that same thing. He's like saying, listen, like we're not really getting any traction here.
Yes. Yes.
Can I take a moment and get on my police soapbox?
Let's do it. Yeah.
This is something that came to my attention back in 2020 as I got really involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. And I was in the I would call it the Black Lives Matter takedown Zoom of Andy Shore. There's like 7,000 people in it. It was wild. Like, it was like something technology, and all of a sudden everybody like knows how to use technology. And it's like a city council meeting with 7,000 people.
Crazy.
But the mayor is not running it. Like, the Black Lives Matter is running it. So it's a black agenda. And the Ingham County Health Commissioner is there. She declared racism a health emergency.
Okay.
So my dear friend Sean Holland is like the pastor in one of the Brady Bunch squares of Zoom.
Yeah.
And they had let the mayor know that this was all going to happen and that this was going to be declared a public emergency. And then they were anticipating the mayor would have something to say or do as well about all this. And the mayor was there just to listen. So it was such a fumble that he had to put out a apology.
He could have been
video.
a leader in that moment.
Yeah, he could have been a leader in that moment, and he wasn't. And that was the end of a good chunk of a certain subsection of the black community in Lansing losing trust in the mayor, and then a whole group of people who would consider themselves allies or in alignment with that, advocates for that losing trust. And it spiraled in a lot of different ways over that season. But one of the things that came up in that meeting was having a residency requirement for police officers. And the mayor said that was not possible because it's a state law that you can't have a residency requirement. And I didn't go and look past all this. I just assumed that was accurate information. But what I would have loved to see is this is like the leadership thing. I would have loved to see the mayor say that would require a state law change, and I'd like to lead.
A part of that.
I'd like to lead to make that happen.
Yeah. What a different message that would have been.
Yeah, or I'd like to figure out how to make that change.
Yeah.
Because essentially, this is just anecdotal. I haven't done the numbers and the deep dive into the data, but when we've had police come to one of our buildings to respond to something, I always ask, I talk to them and I always ask, where do you live at, or where are you from? And it's the surrounding area. So it's the surrounding suburbs policing Lansing. Yeah. Holt, Okemos, DeWitt, Grand Ledge, Hazlitt. It's the surrounding areas policing Lansing.
Yeah.
And I just think, what if it was flipped and Lansing police were policing, Lansing residents were policing those other areas.
Be pissed.
Yeah. So, I don't, again, now there's some dots I don't have. I don't know what the history of why that law was created, that you can't have a residency requirement for police. But it sets up a systemic problem.
Disconnect.
That people who don't want to live in the city of Lansing because of the things that the police are responding to are the very people who are then being hired back into the city to police for the things that cause them to leave Lansing.
Yes.
I'm not trying to throw every police officer under the bus. I'm trying to describe it as a systemic structural thing.
Sure.
It's not an individual intention or motivation.
Yeah.
It is the structure creates behaviors that
are
you
normalized.
get into, are normalized, and you get into a current. Like Angela Waters Austin would always say, community policing is not community policing if the police officer doesn't live in the community.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm not a throw Andy Shore under the bus person. I've had many conversations with him. I've had good back and forth with him. But I'm pinpointing that moment was a significant failure in stepping into leadership, particularly around this policing issue.
Yeah.
Which then last night they're talking about, like, I don't know, we've lost the systemic thing, and now we're just talking about the number of police officers again. And I long for a bigger and deeper conversation than just like, how do we get traction with hiring the number of police officers? I don't. That was where mine was going.
Sure.
As I'm like putting a foot in the stream of some other conversation, or they're putting a foot in the stream, and I'm like, wait, what about the whole stream? Like this bigger thing.
Yeah. So that was touched on just very briefly in the vacancy report. Next, we had Councilmember Koss talking about updating the principal shopping district to include more businesses in Old Town, and I think this will be so to support businesses along the corridor on Cesar Chavez, and they'll do the shopping district allows for like trash cans to be picked up and some like lawn care and that sort of thing. So there'll be a public hearing on that at the next meeting.
Okay.
And then they talked about revising an ordinance they passed a few months ago regarding tenant relocation fees in the event of emergencies at rental properties. What this is the people need to be evacuated. So in case of like an evacuation at a rental property where people need to be housed somewhere else, and that would be like a hotel, the city will pay that if there is some sort of emergency, and then the landlords have to pay the city back.
Okay.
So they talked about
this.
Yeah,
I missed some of the details of all of that and wasn't quite following it. So that's a helpful recap of that for me.
Okay. Yeah. And something even more details about this is while this whole discussion was going on for a few council meetings, I talked to a reporter who told me only one time in Lansing's history has Lansing ever done this.
Okay.
So the use case for this is like so small.
Okay.
But it's taken up I don't know.
All right.
They're like my interpretation is council is trying to be more tenant friendly.
Okay.
But the way that they're going about it is maybe not in an area that is going to make a lot of impact. They're talking about this, and there's a lot of back and forth with Spatafor, Jackson, Cost, and the city attorney about specifics and wording, and the attorney finally gets tired of fielding hypotheticals. And they're like, whatever, we'll talk about this more in later meetings.
My favorite moment was when the city attorney said to Brian Jackson, the other attorney, that's a very lawyerly question to a lawyer.
Yes. And I think for me, I'm glad that Jackson is a lawyer and can see these issues from a lawyer's perspective, because that is really that's an asset, I think, to council that we're going to be losing.
Some of that conversation was about what, if the tenant is the cause of the emergency. So if the tenant was smoking,
lit a candle that caused a fire.
Yeah, that caused a fire. That then the landlord wasn't responsible, and then it got into all the hypotheticals. Well, what if it's leaking? There's a leak,
and they didn't
and
know
the
about
tenant
the leak
doesn't tell the landlord,
right?
But then how do you know if the tenant knew? And is it this is now we're into lawyer speak, and it was two lawyers talking to each other.
Yes. And I think somebody made a comment later on here that we'll get to that was along the lines of, whenever there's a social ill, we jump to criminalizing. And unfortunately, I think that's the main tool of council, is to make these laws. So that's what they're going to do. And I don't know, there's maybe more creative ways for connecting. And
can we imagine a community where it didn't require a law for people in that situation to be taken care of?
Yeah, right.
That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into the general meeting. There was no mayor. It was Mark Lawrence still, his chief of staff, but Chris Swope, the clerk, was in attendance, and he gets the award for best dressed from me.
Sure.
For his dusty blue silk suit jacket with black paisley print.
Have you ever given the award to anybody else? 'Cause
yes.
Every time I've listened to you give that award to him.
No, I've tried to do every third is my
I mean, I was dressed
benchmark.
fairly decently last night, like much more so than me.
You were
so
the runner-up.
Was I the runner-up?
Yes.
That's
I liked your pocket square.
Yeah, well, I'm not usually that dressed up, but I was having that meeting with somebody that was a leader in the community that I got hurt from something, and I was like, I should probably show up looking semi-professional.
Well, who would you say was the best dressed?
You know, my kids would pick Brian Jackson for his sort of athleisure fit, is what they would say. So whenever I'm dressed like him,
you command the youth.
Yes. He's a very sharp dresser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you put in the work, you get the award.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. So, Councilmember Spatafor will have a constituent contact meeting in the 4th Ward to talk about continued combined sewer overflow work. President Cost will host the Board of Water and Light and Deep Green, the data center developers, at his next constituent meeting. There was a representative from the League of Women's Voters talking about a meeting they will have regarding microplastics next week at the East Lansing Library.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Lawrence did not have any comments on the mayor's behalf, and President Cost said, "Thanks for saving us 20 minutes." From the last meeting, Council tabled a historic district study for a home built by a Lansing architect in the 1800s. And in this meeting, that historic district study idea gets sent back to the Public Safety Committee. From the last meeting, we had 2 developer presentations asking for state and local tax breaks through the Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act, OPRA, one for Maximilian Burtz for a property at South Cedar and Baker Street for a mixed-use commercial building with 2 apartment units. He's done this at least 2 other properties in Lansing already, and one for Little Rock Ventures, a new developer duo for a property they want to redevelop in Rio Town near the Rusty Mug. They have plans to turn it into an art gallery at the ground level and 1 apartment above. The council approves these requested tax breaks for both projects. No more questions. Council wrote a letter, and I did not understand why this letter, why they were doing this. But they wrote this letter, which seemed kind of self-evident, and maybe they need it for like grants or something. But the letter says that the City Council, quote, formally recognizes and supports the mission and impact of local food rescue organizations in their efforts to rescue and redirect surplus food to those in need across the city, encourages community members, businesses, and institutions to support food rescue efforts through volunteering, food donations, and strategic collaboration, and remains committed to environmental stewardship and food justice.
Amen.
Yes. Like, the food is in need in rescuing, or the people are in need of the food? It seemed very like food rescue focused. The language, I don't know.
Was it like day old food? I mean, there's so much food that's thrown away.
Right.
Like the Lansing School District just sent out this thing that's like, your kid. When I volunteer sometimes in the lunchroom, the amount of food that's just thrown away. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is. I don't know, but they were just saying like, there's a table that your kids can put the food on. Like if they didn't open their milk, or if they didn't eat that apple, like it doesn't have to go in the trash.
Okay.
We can save the food.
Nice.
For somebody who needs it. Maybe that was the
food rescuing.
Yeah, food. So there's rescue societies for animals.
Yeah.
But that is a huge like at our food pantry in Potterville, which is like the area's food pantry, which serves anybody can go there. By the way, you can come out there from Lansing. Okay. It's only on certain days, but you can also do it by appointment. You can call the campus or call that campus in Potterville and set up a personal one-on-one appointment. But a lot of the food is like day-old food, like from Meyer or whatever. Nice. And it's very edible. I eat the kids in our youth group. They take pride in eating expired food. It was like an accident one time that happened, and then now they it's part of their identity.
Nice.
So it's edible. It didn't kill the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read that, or I heard that as like we were trying to do something about SNAP or food insecurity.
But what was the thing they were trying to do?
Yeah, just to make a statement.
Okay.
It's like a resolution, I guess. Or
yeah.
There's no substance to it.
Right. And one public comment did focus on that, said if SNAP, the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, goes away, we're going to have to do more than this.
What a mess.
Yes.
The whole stupidity of everything there.
It is. It is a mess.
And yeah, I mean that's been a place where I've seen a lot of organizations stepping up. In fact, our own church has stepped up. We have more food for our tiny pantry than we've had in a long time. Nice. So if you need some food, there's a tiny pantry outside of Sycamore Creek Eastwood on Lake Lansing Road.
Excellent. And are people getting the food? Are people coming and taking stuff?
Yeah, yeah. And it services people who use it some are people who are on the street, sleeping out side, and then there's the working poor that come. So, like sometimes you'll hear people say like they can't, people who need it can't like cook pasta or whatever, so don't put pasta in there. But there are people who have houses that are the working poor that come, and that's all good stuff.
Good.
Don't bring lentils, though. If you bring lentils, they'll sit there forever. And then I'll take them out to try to like make more room for other things. And then whoever's bringing the lentils sees that the lentils have been taken, and then there's lentils then the next day. And I'm going to have to write a sign that says, please, no lentils.
We don't need to rescue the lentils.
No matter how amazing that is as a food and protein, people are not taking it.
It's not desirable.
Yeah. So you don't have to eat what you don't like just because you're poor. There's plenty of other options.
That's a great message. Next, we're going to get into the public hearings. So there was a planned presentation by folks asking for a land use permit to run an adult foster care home on North Turner, but they were not there. And Councilmember Hussein spoke a little bit on their behalf. They have this full support of the planning committee. There will no public comments about this. There's a change in the retirement pension being put up by council, so an ordinance change to give them 30 years for their pension, up from 25 years, and that's just for the police and fire chiefs, in an effort to get those top public safety spots, those people to stay in their positions longer. That was a bunch from the last meeting, so there's no public comment for this one. Then they're talking about a noise ordinance change. And the change will give police, there's like a number of things that are wrapped into this, but part of it is giving the police more leeway to enforce music played outside of quiet hours and loud vehicle sounds. There's one public comment here, and the person says, "Thank you, Councilmember Jackson, for speaking about this at the last meeting. I'm weary of addressing a few bad actors by giving the police a wider net. Some people just drive a crummy vehicle, and when we identify a social ill and our knee-jerk reaction is to criminalize it, we're doing more harm than good. Our instinct should instead be to identify what the root systemic issues are, and in this case, I think it is our car-centric infrastructure. If the only option for people is to drive their crappy vehicles, then this is what we're going to get. We need more meaningful alternatives to driving, and we would have less of this problem. Making public transit is sort of a long-term solution. Making more public transit like easier to use and more better is long-term. But in the short term, we could have something like pullover prevention parties where drivers who have small troubles with their cars can get them fixed, like their mufflers or their headlights replaced. And a few people can do this work on a shoestring budget."
Yeah, I resonated with the spirit of this. Like let's not increase police interactions with people over subjective. We just didn't. Lansing got rid of like pulling over people for broken brake lights or that kind of thing, or those little things.
Right,
like you can't, you don't get pulled over for that now.
But now we're trying to bring some of that back.
Yeah. This is the messiness of people living with people. Because again, I don't know. This is like what would change about Lansing, change about human nature. This happens all the time around me and in our neighborhood is go talk to your neighbor. Like now I say that as somebody who my job is people and words. So I feel very confident talking to people who are annoying me.
Yeah.
And there's a skill, but Yeah, I read a report one time about like how many people a moped, like driving through like a metropolitan area, like without a muffler would wake up. Like one person can do amazing like sound damage.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know how to solve that completely, but I resonate with the like, let's not increase laws.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about some utility work. So there was a lot of piecemeal information that came out about this consumer's energy utility easement throughout the course of this discussion, I felt like.
This was all news to me.
Okay, this is my recap. Consumers Energy wants to put a new high-pressure 12-inch, like round, natural gas line through a trenchless underground boring installation method in a 15-foot easement that is actually 33 feet from the boundary of these properties. So it's like 48 feet setback of Evergreen Cemetery and Fenner Nature Center along East Mount Hope Avenue. There is an existing low-pressure line in that exact current spot and an existing high-pressure gas line to the north of Mount Hope Avenue. So there's like a lot of gas already going on there. Sounds like there were some public input, a lot of public input at planning and development meetings already that President Cost, Adam Hussein, and Jeremy Garza are on. The public got some of what they wanted in this, and that is that the updated easement agreement does not give consumers the right to do whatever they want later on with this easement. If they want to do something else, they have to come back to the city and go through this process. Also, consumers will pay $2,000 to the Friends of the Lansing Cemeteries Fund, but they will only pay $1 for the section through Fenner. So, public comments. People say the utility companies are not reliable promise keepers. Thank you to Cost, Hussein, and Garza for listening and working with us. The city should do better negotiating. Don't just roll over for the utility companies. We need better evaluation on the trees that will be cut down for this easement through Fenner. Wait on this and get some outside input and valuation on what we are giving up with these trees. They also say, the public comments also say that city servants should not be speaking on behalf of private utility companies. It's not their job. And case in point, Brett Kaczynski of the Parks Department was at this meeting speaking on behalf of consumers. Somebody else said, if this was BWL asking for it, it wouldn't go through because BWL is beholden to the city, the people in the city. One commenter had handouts for the council, and Swope said that he needs to give these handouts to the clerk intern before next time. This person was asking for a traffic study along Mount Hope. Council member Jackson said, I will not support this. And he's talked about this before. He says, natural gas is not a clean energy. We do not want to be building more fossil fuel infrastructure. This is against state guidance, and this will be a stranded asset. So this pipeline is going to be not needed in the near term, middle term, I guess. And my favorite part of the meeting was when Councilmember Jackson asks about when the current high-pressure line was put in, the one to the north on the road, and somebody from the audience yells out, 1953. And he was like, okay, thanks. Philly Vonnegut says, if this doesn't go through, what's the alternative?
Yeah.
So that was a good question. And Kaczynski...
I thought that was a good question, too.
...says, I guess we'd have them dig up Mount Hope Avenue. Like, is that what you want? More construction? And this passes council 6-1. Jackson votes against. So consumers gets their easement, and they have to pay $2,000 to the cemetery and $1 single dollar to the city.
Yeah, this is where there's a lot of dots that I don't have.
Yes.
And I would like more dots.
What would be helpful information for you?
Well, I think there's some big picture things that are important to me, like values, and one is I think Fenner's a really, like, that whole corridor is a really special corridor. That green belt that goes through there, the Sycamore Creek.
Yeah.
So the literal creek that our church was named after.
Yeah.
But the wildlife through there, and again, the Fenner is a kind of oasis. It's a beautiful oasis. So, a value would be that we protect that natural asset. I would like to know a little more. I would like to know more about what the actual process is. So, I mean, I think it's easy for me or us in general to think the trees are all coming down, but maybe they have a process that is less impactful than I'm imagining, and I don't know that. I think Brian looked at the stream rather than just like the one touch point. It's like a little bit back on that. Like, why? Let's get some residency requirements for police. And he's saying, like, let's look at energy sources. How do you phase out a fossil fuel like natural gas? And how do you do that in a way that's not disruptive? Again, this is out of my expertise. I would have thought, I mean, consumers must have felt pretty confident to have nobody show up.
Yes.
So that
for me, it rang a little bit with what you were saying earlier about the low self-esteem of Lansing. It's like this seemed like the city had an opportunity to stand up for itself a little bit and ask for more for consumers. Like they're only getting $1.
Yeah, I missed that completely. So yeah.
Like I know that the city also wants its residents to have heat to survive the winter.
Yeah.
So there's probably a little bit of that, like hands tied, like this is the provider of our natural gas, but also like let's come to the table as like actual partners and not just like we'll do whatever you want so that we can continue.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's a good moment where Lansing's could have used a good 1980s, 90s self-esteem talk.
Yeah.
That's not really the language anymore. What is it? Self-worth or like this is asset.
Yeah.
And maybe they've had those conversations and had that assurance and it just didn't come out.
We're just seeing the tiniest sliver of all of these issues that come through council.
Yeah. It's a real asset and I think you're right. Like it's worth something.
It is. And if this podcast is worth something to you, then you can join the Patreon.
Woo, I set you up
Nailed
for that. Yeah.
On the Patreon page, I do a bingo for each meeting, so you can see if we got a bingo at this meeting. And also, I put all the issues that were discussed at the meeting on a map, so you can see exactly the locations of the spots. Also, there is a podcast party.
Whoa, okay.
Planned for December 18th. It'll be 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Foster Community Center. Optional to bring a gift for an exchange that reminds you of Lansing. And the next meeting will be December 8th. Our guest will be Mia Murphy from the Salis Center. Any shout-outs that you would like to give?
All right, so here would be my shout-out. We are hosting a Christmas ugly sweater swing dance party.
Whoa!
On December 5th
Nice.
At Stage 1, which is our Eastwood campus. And the LCC Jazz Band is going to be playing live.
Oh, my gosh.
Stephanie Amores and her husband are the swing dance instructors who will be there, 6:30 lessons. And so they'll be there pre-concert to teach swing dancing. And then during intermission, we'll have another lesson. So you can figure out like what you didn't do well or what you were like struggling with.
Yeah.
But they'll also just be mingling around the floor like to dance with or to help you.
Wow.
We got a big dance floor coming. And then we have 2 businesses in our incubator kitchen, Sweet Lee's Teas and Honey Bun Bakery, and they're going to be providing treats and tea.
Amazing.
And there's going to be lots of fun prizes for like the most gaudy, the most bling. Like you can find that. It's all on Facebook. There's an event, and it's free. So it's just a Christmas party celebration. If you don't want to swing dance, it's just going to be, I think, a hoot listening to great jazz and watching people swing dance.
Very fun.
So yeah, come on out.
December 5th?
December 5th. I think that's Friday. It's 6:30 is when the lessons are. The show starts at 7, and I think we're going till 9, if I remember right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds very fun and well within the quiet hours for the noise ordinance. Thank you so much, Tom, for being here.
It's happy to be here. Thanks for doing it every week.
Yeah, for sure. Great to talk with you. And thank you to the Public Media Center for letting us record with you. And thanks, everyone, for listening.